For more dialogue on population data, just go to my playlist entitled Populations, where I share different content about population data. And I hope you enjoy this specific dialogue. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and I hope all is well for you today. And in this population-based series, we will be discussing anything from articles to news reports, potential conspiracy theories, and assessing population data. So if that's something you're interested in, hopefully you will enjoy this dialogue. And in this episode, we will be talking about population data. In this episode, we will be talking about the population of
Africa.
According to the UN Environment Program, in its article entitled Our Work in Africa, it states, Africa is rich in natural resources ranging from arable land, water, oil, natural gas, minerals, forests, and wildlife. The continent holds a huge proportion of the world's natural resources, both renewables and non-renewables. Africa is home to some 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 8% of the world's natural gas, and 12% of the world's oil reserves. The continent has 40% of the world's gold, and up to 90% of its chromium and platinum. The largest reserves of cobalt, diamonds, platinum, and uranium in the world are in Africa. It holds 65% of the world's arable land and 10% of the planet's internal renewable fresh water source. In most African countries, natural capital accounts for between 30% and 50% of total wealth. Over 70% of people living in sub-Saharan Africa depend on forests and woodlands for their livelihoods. According to Al Jazeera, its article entitled Mapping Africa's Natural Resources, it states, beneath the surface of Africa lies a wealth of mineral resources of enormous value. In 2019, the continent produced almost 1 billion tons of minerals worth $406 billion. According to the United Nations, Africa is home to about 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 12% of the world's oil, and 8% of the world's natural gas reserves. In 2019, about 63% of the world's cobalt production came from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda are the world's largest producers of tantalum. Together, they produce half of the world's tantalum. Petroleum and coal are among the most abundant minerals for 22 out of Africa's 54 countries. As of 2019, Nigeria produced most of the continent's petroleum, 25%, followed by Angola, 17%, and Algeria, 16%. Ghana is the continent's largest producer of gold, followed by South Africa and Mali. At $125 billion per year, South Africa generates the most money from its mineral resources. Nigeria comes in second with $53 billion per year, followed by Algeria $39 billion, Angola $32 billion, and Libya $27 billion. These 5 countries produced more than 2/3 of the continent's mineral wealth. Africa produced about 5.5% of the world's minerals worth some $406 billion. According to the African Language Program at Harvard and its article entitled Introduction to African Languages, it states, with anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 languages, Africa is home to approximately 1/3 of the world's languages. The diversity of Africa's languages is evidenced by their populations. In total, there are at least 75 languages in Africa which have more than 1 million speakers. The rest are spoken by populations ranging from a few hundred to several 100,000 speakers. Most of the languages are primarily oral, with little available in written form. According to Study.com and its article entitled African Ethnicity, Overview, and Tribes, it states, there are widely acknowledged to be over 3,000 tribes in Africa. According to the World Counts, and its page entitled Population of Africa, it states, half of the world's population growth will happen in Africa. Over half of global population growth until 2050 is expected to take place in Africa, with another 1.3 billion people added to the continent's population. By 2050, the population will grow over 42 million people per year. That's 80 people every minute. After 2050, Africa will continue to have the highest population growth of all continents. By 2100, Africa will hold 39% of the world population compared to 15% in 2017 and just 9% in 1950. In 2018, there were 4 African countries among the top 25 most populous countries in the world. By 2100, there will be 12 countries in the top 25 and 5 in the top 10. As of 2050, Nigeria will be the 3rd most populous country in the world. By 2100, Nigeria will have a population of almost 800 million people, which is the same as the entire population of Africa in the year 2000. The median age on the African continent is 19, meaning that half of the population is younger than 19 years old. Africa's median age makes it the youngest continent. The world's 15 youngest populations are all from Africa, and the top 5 are Niger, Uganda, Mali, Malawi, and Zambia. The top 20 countries with the highest average birth rates for women are all African: Niger, Somalia, Mali, Chad, Angola. According to wilsoncenter.org and its blog post entitled Africa's Median Age is About 19, the median age of its leaders is about 63, it states, Africa has the world's youngest population. According to the CIA World Factbook, the top 10 countries with the lowest median age are in Africa. According to Worldometer, Africa's 2023 growth rate is 2.37%. The 2 most populated regions of the continent of Africa are Eastern and Western Africa, with Eastern Africa being the most populated region in Africa. The population of Africa's subregions in 2023, as per Worldometer. The number 1 most populated region in Africa is Eastern Africa, with 485,066,925. The second most populated region in Africa is Western Africa, with 439,868,541. Northern Africa, 264,205,998. Central Africa, 202,105,149. Southern Africa, 69,235,158. The 2023 population of Africa is at 1,460,476,458. Now let us look at the population projections for the continent of Africa Unlike typical episodes where we share the projections for the year 2030, 40, and 50, there aren't those numbers with continent. Instead, the numbers go by 3 and 8, and we will be looking at the numbers 8. The years 2078, 2088, and 2098. By the year 2078, Africa is set to increase to 3,448,996,924. By 2088, Africa is set to increase to 3,702,753,313. By 2098, Africa is set to increase to 3,893,794,741. Well, that is all we have for today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion, where we looked at the populations of Africa. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for more.